I don't know if you've noticed lately, but there's an absolute shit ton of good video games to play. Without exaggerating, there's been an interesting looking video game released almost every week this year. Unfortunately, you probably haven't seen or heard about the vast majority of them. A topic of conversation that comes up with just about every developer I speak to is discoverability. It's arguably the biggest challenge game developers face these days, despite there being plenty of game showcases, Steam Next Fest, a constant stream of social media posts, YouTubers, podcasters, streamers, and writers. With more ways for developers to get their games out there than ever before, it's also never been more difficult to break through the noise of it all. There's just too much at any given time to ever focus on one thing for very long. Of course, this problem isn't unique to gaming. Books, indie movies, TV shows, music, pretty much any form of entertainment. Once an industry reaches a certain size, there's just no way to keep up with it all. Game releases come and go faster than they ever have before. It used to feel like a major game would arrive, and it'd be all anyone would talk about for weeks on end. These days, a big game release happens almost weekly, and by the time outlets or creators actually get around to making videos or articles about any given title, people have already moved on. This has even changed how games are generally promoted. If a game spends too long advertising itself, eventually it stops generating more and more interest as it just becomes another post that people scroll over in their feeds. The time between a game being marketed and its release has become weeks to a few months, rather than a year or more. As consumers, I know we all appreciate shorter marketing campaigns, but for developers, it means the window to get more eyes on your game is a lot smaller than it used to be. Developers have to constantly release new screenshots, new videos, new details about their game, whatever it might be to keep people interested as they develop. Many I have spoken with admit that they just can't keep up with marketing while trying to actually make the game itself. Not staying in the conversation runs the risk of being forgotten about, but staying in the conversation too long runs the risk of people ignoring you altogether. There's also the issue of gaming storefronts doing a substandard job of curating what's displayed on their pages. Mobile app stores in particular are notorious for letting anything and everything onto their storefronts. AI-generated junk, lazy asset flips, straight-up rip-offs of existing games, and endless pages of individual DLC microtransactions. Steam, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox have all allowed their stores to become more and more bloated with a lot of the same stuff, making it harder to find quality games you don't already know about. Marty already did a great video digging into this topic, so I'll just reiterate that companies need to do a better job of actually paying attention to what's on their stores. They have the ability to help games get the visibility they need to actually sell. So what are things that can be done to improve this discoverability problem? The easiest thing is for people just to share more of what they actually enjoy or are interested in online. I know that's a pretty obvious answer, but think about your own social media usage for a minute. If you're watching this video, that means you're probably involved in online gaming communities on Twitter, Blue Sky, Reddit, Discord, or even here on YouTube. Unfortunately, what tends to generate the most attention in gaming conversations are the negative experiences. Developer drama, a game people didn't like, the latest anti-woke rage-bait slop video from YouTube grifters. It's not very often that you see a game recommendation, a fantastic video essay, or a passionate interview shared around as much as the latest thing that pissed people off. Ironically, while telling you to not give the thing that pissed them off the attention. I myself have fallen into that trap plenty. Algorithms tend to focus on negative content because it elicits stronger emotions and engagement from audiences. You probably don't have a lot to say on a generally positive piece of coverage, but check the comment count on a video talking about how Ubisoft sucks, or a negative reaction to another creator's video, and it'll be chock full of people with things to say.
But how does the game play, Yachts? You fucking know how it plays. It plays like a Ubisoft open world game, as in all of them.
It's worth doing a self-assessment of your online presence every once in a while, even if you're not an internet personality, and seeing what kind of things you're sharing. You never know when a random post or comment about something you enjoyed will get picked up and spread around, introducing a bunch of people to a game or experience they never heard of before. This also ties into search engines and supporting independent games media. As I talked about in my video discussing the sale of Polygon and the gutting of Giant Bomb, which has thankfully had a positive turn of events as fandom sold the brand to Dan Reichert and Jeff Grubb, who have taken it fully independent. Supporting independent games media is also a great way to help with games discoverability. Decoupling an outlet from the reliance on search engines allows its staff to focus on more curated work. It's work that doesn't get viewed as much, as evidenced by our own shows here on Second Wind that focus on lesser-known games. But as long as it's funded by the audience that supports it, views aren't the driving metric that enables that coverage to be made in the first place. Just telling people about cool-looking games is a huge part of the reason I got into games media. I find it immensely satisfying when I help people discover new games that they end up enjoying. This happens a lot with Unpacked videos as I try to pack in footage of games I'm playing like Nordhold for example, but don't see many other people talking about online. At some point, a lot of games media became talking around games rather than about them. So this Sunday, we're launching a pilot for a very simple listicle series that will introduce you to upcoming games we're interested in. It's just a fun little video to help you find games that you may not hear about otherwise, and would like to keep an eye on as they develop. Not exactly the most thought-provoking work we'll have ever done, but I think a big role of games media is just to tell you about cool-looking games when we can, and evaluate them when we get access to them. So hopefully, you find some use for this new thing we're putting together. There's no easy solution to the discoverability problem. The world won't be moving on from algorithms anytime soon. Most people's sharing habits won't really change. And I'm sure storefronts won't actually invest in curating their platforms better to clear out a lot of the junk on them. But I think if everyone made a little bit of extra effort to share their positive experiences, things they're interested in instead of what they're angry about that day, and support the media and creators that are trying to improve discoverability issues, then these roadblocks can be worked around. So do me a favor on this week's Unpacked. Share a comment telling us about a lesser-known game you enjoyed recently and how you learned about it.
We here at Second Wind are well into our second year as a content-producing powerhouse, and we're hoping to keep going into a third, and perhaps even dare we dream a fourth. By donating as little as $1 a month to our Patreon, you can be a part of helping us keep going. Well, subscribe to the $5 tier and you can enjoy all kinds of extra content we keep under the table for the special customers. I myself have been indulging my hobby of making long-form videos in which I explain the lore of video game franchises I don't know much about, as well as some exclusive interviews and other experimental videos I and my colleagues are creating on a monthly basis. Maybe you'll enjoy them, maybe you'll want to join the Patreon so you can tell us they suck. Either way helps the creative process. If you want to be part of ensuring the existence of one of the few professional gaming media outlets that isn't being ruined and or shut down by corporate bastards, go to patreon.com/secondwindgroup and please consider giving whatever you can spare. And if you don't want to do any of that either, I don't know, take up cycling, it's good core exercise.